Marcus Blackwood had exactly 7 minutes to decide if he would risk his entire $4.2 billion empire for a woman whose name he didn't even know. The champagne glass trembled in his hand as their eyes locked across the wedding reception, hers deep brown and unflinching, his blue and suddenly uncertain. For the first time in 15 years, the notorious Ice King of Wall Street felt something crack inside his carefully constructed world. He had built his fortune on calculated risks, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. If word got out about his sudden vulnerability, the hostile takeover brewing at Blackwood Industries would succeed within days. His rivals were already circling, waiting for any sign of weakness. Yet as the mysterious woman in the burgundy dress turned away, Marcus realized with startling clarity that some things were worth losing everything for. The question burning through his mind, was she one of them? Amara Johnson hadn't planned to attend her best friend's brother's wedding. As the brilliant neurologist adjusted her burgundy off-shoulder dress, she reminded herself she was only here because Zoe had begged her to come after another bridesmaid dropped out. At 34, with her natural hair styled in an elegant updo and minimal gold jewelry complementing her deep brown skin, Amara felt oddly out of place among the ultra-wealthy guests. When she noticed the tall, imposing man in the tailored black tuxedo staring at her, she assumed he was another entitled billionaire wondering why someone like her was at an event like this. "He's watching you again," Zoe whispered, nudging Amara's arm. "That's Marcus Blackwood, Jason's best friend since college. Worth billions, never been in a serious relationship, and apparently hasn't taken his eyes off you all night." "Don't be ridiculous," Amara replied, though her heart quickened. "Men like that don't notice women like me." "Well, this one definitely does. And he's coming this way." Marcus moved through the crowd with purpose, his 38-year-old frame carrying the confidence of someone used to commanding rooms. His dark hair was perfectly styled, his clean-shaven face revealing sharp features that graced financial magazines monthly. As he approached, Amara noticed something unexpected, vulnerability in his eyes. "I don't usually do this," he said simply, extending his hand. "I'm Marcus." "Amara," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. "And what exactly is this that you don't usually do?" "Introduce myself to the most intriguing person in the room without having my assistant research them first." She laughed, surprising herself. "That's either refreshingly honest or slightly disturbing." Their conversation flowed with unexpected ease, moving from art to neuroscience to their shared love of obscure jazz. As the reception continued around them, they slipped into their own world. When he asked her to dance, the chemistry between them was electric enough that guests began to notice. Including someone who didn't appreciate the attention Marcus was giving to Amara. As they swayed to the music, Marcus leaned closer. "I have to leave for Tokyo tomorrow. A deal that could either secure my company's future or destroy everything I've built." "That sounds dramatic," Amara said with a small smile. "It is. But for the first time, I'm wondering if it matters as much as I thought." His hand tightened slightly on her waist. "Have dinner with me when I return?" Before she could answer, a commotion erupted across the room. Marcus's phone buzzed simultaneously, his face darkening as he read the message. "I have to go. Now." "What's happening?" Amara asked, suddenly concerned. Marcus hesitated, then made a decision that would change everything. "Someone just leaked confidential information about my company. If I don't contain this tonight, thousands of people will lose their jobs by morning." He pulled a card from his pocket. "My private number. If you're willing to take a chance on someone whose life is about to become very complicated, call me." With that, he was gone, leaving Amara holding a simple black card with gold-embossed numbers, and wondering if she'd ever see him again. 3 days passed with no word from Marcus. Amara tried to focus on her research at the hospital, telling herself their connection had been nothing but a momentary fantasy. Then came the news alerts: Blackwood Industries under attack, market manipulation scandal rocks Wall Street, billionaire Marcus Blackwood missing after Tokyo meeting. Amara stared at her phone in disbelief. The man she'd spent hours talking to had vanished, possibly ruined. The card with his number burned in her wallet. Should she call? What could she possibly offer in this situation? As she debated, her phone rang, an unknown number. Dr. Johnson? This is Eliza Reed, Mr. Blackwood's assistant. He's been injured and is asking for you. Can you come? The private hospital suite was heavily guarded. Inside, Marcus lay with bandages covering his shoulder, his face bruised but his eyes lighting up when Amara entered. You came, he said simply. What happened to you? She asked, medical training kicking in as she assessed his injuries. Someone wanted to make sure I didn't make it back from Tokyo. They nearly succeeded. He winced as he shifted. I'm sorry to drag you into this, but I couldn't stop thinking about you, even when they were. He stopped himself. I needed to see you again. This is insane, Amara whispered. We barely know each other. I know. But sometimes life doesn't follow the expected path. He reached for her hand. I've spent my life calculating risks. You're the first uncalculated one I've taken. Against her better judgment, Amara found herself drawn deeper into Marcus's world. As he recovered, they spent hours talking, learning each other's stories. She told him about growing up with a single mother who worked 3 jobs to put her through medical school. He shared the pressure of inheriting a failing company at 23 and rebuilding it from nothing. Why me? She asked one evening. You could have anyone. Marcus considered her question carefully. Because you saw me, not my bank account. Because when we talked about your patients, I saw the compassion that drives you. Because you challenge every assumption I've made about what matters in life. As Marcus fought to save his company, Amara became his unexpected sanctuary. But the forces working against him weren't finished. At a charity gala where they made their first public appearance together, Amara overheard a conversation that chilled her blood. Blackwood's distracted by that doctor he's dating. Perfect timing for us to move in for the kill, a man said in hushed tones. The board meeting next week is our chance. Once we reveal what we found about his father's dealings, he's finished. Amara froze, realizing she had become part of a dangerous game. Should she tell Marcus what she'd heard? Would he believe her, or think she was somehow involved? The weight of his world suddenly pressed on her shoulders, forcing her to decide if their newfound connection was worth the risk. When she finally told him, Marcus's face went pale. My father's dealings? That's impossible. My father was the most ethical man I knew. I'm just telling you what I heard, Amara said gently. Marcus paced the room, his mind racing. If they have something on my father, fabricated or not, they could use it to destroy everything. He stopped suddenly, turning to her with intensity. Unless. Unless what? Unless we find it first. His eyes lit with determination. My father kept archives of everything. If there's any truth to this, or evidence of who might be framing him, it would be there. The search led them to Marcus's childhood home, a place he hadn't visited in years. As they combed through dusty files in his father's study, Amara noticed Marcus becoming increasingly quiet. What is it? She asked, seeing him staring at a document. It's all been a lie, he whispered. My father, he did make deals with those people. The same ones trying to take me down now. He looked up, devastation in his eyes. My entire legacy is built on corruption. Amara moved to his side, taking the papers gently. Let me see. As she read, her expression changed. Marcus, that's not what this shows at all. Your father was gathering evidence against them. He was working with federal investigators. What? He took the papers back, reading more carefully. He was trying to bring them down, not work with them, Amara continued. And based on these dates, they might have been responsible for his death. The revelation shook Marcus to his core. What he had believed about his father, about his company's foundation, everything shifted. In that moment of vulnerability, he looked at Amara with new eyes. This woman he'd known for mere weeks had just helped him uncover the truth that had eluded him for 15 years. "I think I'm falling in love with you," he said, the words surprising them both. Before Amara could respond, Marcus's phone rang. The board meeting had been moved up. They were making their move now. Armed with his father's evidence, Marcus and Amara raced to Blackwood headquarters. The confrontation that followed would determine not just the fate of his company, but of the corrupt network that had operated in the shadows for decades. As Marcus presented the evidence to the stunned board members, Amara watched with pride. This was the man she was falling for, not the billionaire, but the person willing to fight for truth, even when it cost him everything. When it was over, when the conspirators were being led away and the immediate danger had passed, Marcus found Amara waiting outside the boardroom. "It's going to be a media circus," he warned her. "Being associated with me right now. Are you trying to protect me or give me an out?" she asked directly. "Maybe both." He took her hands. "My world is complicated, Amara. Today proved that. I wouldn't blame you for walking away." Amara considered his words carefully. "I didn't fall for your world, Marcus. I fell for you. The man who quotes obscure poets and gets excited about neuroscience research. The man who looked at me across a wedding reception and saw something worth risking everything for." 6 months later, they returned to the venue where they'd first met. As they stood in the empty ballroom, Marcus took Amara's hand. "I've been thinking about that first night," he said. "How everything in my life changed because I looked up at exactly the right moment." "Some might call that coincidence," Amara replied with a smile. "I call it the best decision I never planned to make." He drew her closer. "My life was all about calculated risks until I met you. You were the beautiful variable I never accounted for." As they danced alone in the ballroom where it all began, Marcus and Amara's story reminded them both that love doesn't follow business plans or medical protocols. It arrives unexpectedly, challenges our assumptions, and sometimes, if we're brave enough to embrace it, changes everything we thought we knew about ourselves. Their journey from that wedding to this moment hadn't been easy. They'd faced scrutiny, prejudice, and danger together. But in finding each other, they'd also found a truth worth fighting for, that love sees beyond wealth, beyond background, beyond all the barriers we place between ourselves and others. If this story of unexpected connection moved you, remember that the most meaningful moments in life often come when we least expect them. Sometimes the greatest risk is not taking one at all. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it today, and follow for more stories that remind us of love's power to transform lives when we open our hearts to its possibilities.